Hammurabi's code, was it just? Meaning, was it justified? Did it have reasoning? Did it make sense for the time period? We're going to go ahead and dig into this just a little bit more by examining document E, so the last document of our DBQ. Document E is, again, they are excerpts from Hammurabi's Code, and this comes from around 1754 BCE. This is probably the most known portions of Hammurabi's Code, because if you've ever heard an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, that comes from Hammurabi's Code. So today we're going to be talking about personal injury law. So Law 196. If a man has knocked out the eye of a free man, his eye shall be knocked out. Law 199. If he has knocked out the eye of a slave, he shall pay half his value. Law 209. If a man strikes the daughter of a free man and causes her to lose the fruit of her womb, he shall pay 10 shekels of silver. Law 213. If he has struck the slave girl of a free man and causes her to lose the fruit of her womb, he shall pay 2 shekels of silver. Law 215. If a surgeon has operated with a bronze lancet on the body of a free man and saves the free man's life, he shall receive 10 shekels of silver. Law 218. If a surgeon has operated with a bronze lancet on a free man for a serious injury and has caused his death, his hands shall be cut off. So number 1, examine the laws 196 and 199. How do you think Hammurabi would justify the different punishments for the same crime? Well, guys, remember how we talked about that each society has a social hierarchy or social classes, and it's in the shape of a pyramid. So a free man is from a higher social class in that pyramid, and he therefore has more value to Babylonia because he is able to work and contribute to society. And so, again, he's got more value. And it is only reasonable that the penalty for taking a free man's eye should be of greater value than the penalty for taking a slave's eye. And slavery in Babylonia has nothing to do with color like it did in the United States. They are usually prisoners of war or people who owe money. And so Hammurabi sees this, an eye for an eye, as being equal. So that is where that might come from. Number 2, what is the meaning of fruit of her womb? It simply refers to an unborn baby. Number 3, how could Hammurabi argue that laws 215 and 218 were just? So a surgeon who does a good job should of course be rewarded. However, a surgeon who messes up might do it again and again and again if there's no penalty. And the community can't afford to lose a free man. So if he keeps messing up on free men and killing them, then that's more people who can't contribute to society. So it's just easier to take the surgeon out of the mix and have people who are able to contribute in a positive way. Number 4, how could you use these laws about personal injury? Argue that Hammurabi's code was not just. Guys, Hammurabi says in the epilogue that he's written his code so that the strong might not injure the weak. So the whole purpose of his code is to protect the weak from the strong, which is the purpose of the government. Therefore, shouldn't the slave girl who is in a low social position get the same protection as a free girl, since the slave would then be somebody who is considered weak? That makes no sense. And why should a surgeon get mutilated for an honest mistake? So those are some reasons as to why Hammurabi's code, or this portion of it, isn't considered just. So some food for thought. Think about that. Number 5, is justice absolute? That is a just punishment in 1800 BCE also a just punishment today? And then explain your thinking. And so this is a really big question, and we've talked about this a lot. The fact that we need to look at the context of what we are writing, meaning we can't just take something and put it into today's society. So one might argue that in different times and in different places, values change and therefore justice changes. So what we value today was very different than what they valued back then. The penalty for stealing water in the desert is different from stealing water near a freshwater lake. This is as it should be because the harm done by the crime is very, very different. Or take polygamy. So polygamy is where you have multiple wives. In a harsh environment, polygamy is a way to assure security for all women. In such a society, there is no punishment for polygamy. In another culture, polygamy is seen as a threat to society and is punished by the law. So these are two different situations with two different ideas about what is just. So it's really important that we look at the society that we are talking about and its background. What do the people need? What do the people value? So we can't just take one thing from one time period and transfer it over to something else or to another time period. Just like you can't take laws here in the United States and say that they would be fair or unfair in another country that has completely different customs and culture than us. So that's something to think about when we think about justice.